Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I got how to make 99 nights in a forest. So this is part one to the series and everything. A lot of y'all have been asking me to make this start a series for 99 nights in a forest. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit y'all with that and everything. Play the game for a little bit to see what it's like. And in this part, we will be covering the lobby, hence why it says lobby in the top. So I'm starting a new series and stuff. As long as you guys show the series love and support, I will keep the series going. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Okay. So this is part one of the series. As I mentioned, this is going to cover just the lobby portion. We'll obviously get into the actual when you get to the map, when you teleport over to the map, stuff from part two and onward and stuff, right? So if you don't know how to open the place, get to this point in studio, then go watch a studio beginner guide. This is for people who know a decent amount about how to use studio and everything, right? But yeah, you want to make sure certain things are open, make sure output menu is open and stuff, right? Click view at the top. You want to click the second icon, make sure it's selected, make sure your explore and properties menu is also open and stuff, because some people be asking me how to open this. You should already know how to do this, but besides the point, click view at the top, make sure these two are open, right? Make sure they're open. You can drag them, you can click, if you hold and left click, you can drag them around, and yeah. Okay, let's go and get straight into it. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and let's knock out the easy stuff. We'll go ahead and create our UI, right? So I'm just going to create very basic UI. You can make it as detailed as you want, right? So we're going to head on over to Stutter GUI, click the plus icon, insert screen GUI. You're going to want to disable reset on spawn. We do not want it to reset on spawn. That means the UI will set back to its default state whenever the player respawns, which actually wouldn't be a bad thing in this case, but still, let's just turn it off. We don't want any issues. You're then going to want to rename it to core, capital G, capital U, capital I. Make sure you're naming everything exactly as I'm naming it, unless I tell you otherwise. So core GUI, right? Then we're going to want to insert a text button. We're going to want to rename this text button to leave text button. So you guys know how when you walk over to a teleporter, right? Once like it's already started the countdown for like, oh, okay, like we're about to teleport all the players over to the map and stuff, right? You know how like if you walk into it, it'll give you the option to leave and stuff, right? So this is gonna be our button so that you can leave. So you're just gonna put this in like the bottom middle right here, right? So rename it to leave text button. I'm gonna make the background red. So background will be red, right? Or like a dark red. Then go down here, bold text, rich text, scale text. Then we'll just set the text to leave, right? Then I'll insert a UI corner. This is optional, just to give it, just around those corners off. There we go. Now we have our leave text button. Okay. By default, you do not want this to be visible. And then you can go ahead and insert a frame. This is going to be our party frame. So this is going to be, the thing where like you're setting up your server pretty much, right? Like you're choosing how many people you want to be in your party, how many people will teleport over kind of thing. So rename it to party frame, right? Sizing, we could try 300 by 300, right? Something like that. And then we'll just make this a little wider. So we'll just do 400 by 300, right? So something like that. If that looks nice, we'll put it in the middle. Set the background color to like it's like a dark grayish black color. Background transparency to 0.5, right? Then I will go ahead and insert a text label into the party frame. So boom, insert a text label. You want to rename this text label to party text label. This is going to be our header, so it's literally just going to say create party at the top. So bold text, rich text, scale text, set the text to create party, right? Then set the text color to white. Text stroke color should be set to black. Text stroke transparency should be set to 0, right? Then we will just go ahead and move it to like the top middle right here. So like up there. Then I'll set the background transparency to 1, and there we go, right? Then I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. So while having it selected, I'm gonna press on my keyboard, I'm gonna press Control plus D. If you don't know what that is, Control is CTRL, should be in the bottom left, or it could be somewhere else on your keyboard, right? Control plus D. Or what you can do is you can click Home at the top and then just click Duplicate while having it selected at the top. So duplicate that, right? Then you're just gonna drag it down to like kind of like right here, right? And then this is very important. You're gonna want to name this to party size. You can really just put the word size here. You just put party size text label, right? And then literally just gonna change the text so that it just says party size. So boom, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert a text button into the party frame. You're going to want to drag this at the top right, and then you can set the size to like, you can do like 50 by 50, so 50 for the size, right? This is going to be your close button, so rename it to close text button, right? Scroll down, bold text, rich text, scale the text, set the text to an X. We'll set the text color to white, text stroke transparency will be set to 0, and text stroke color will be black. And then we will make the background red. So another nice dark red. And then I'll give it a border, so set border size pixel to 2. And then I will also insert a UI corner in it just to give it some corners. Then set this to 15. And then once you're done, select it, move it over to the top right. And there we go. We have our close text button, right? From there, we're then going to go ahead and create the create button. So just duplicate the close text button. So select it, duplicate, then you're just going to move it over to the bottom middle. This is going to be our create text button. So this is what you're going to click when you're ready to create your party. So set it to create text button. Boom, right? So you have create text button. Then obviously this, you're going to want this to be like 150. You're going to want this to be like 150. So much wider. Um, then for this, you're going to set the background to green, nice bright green. Scroll down, set the text to create, right? And then, yep, something like that. And then make sure it's renamed to create text button. Then last thing we got to do is insert another frame into our party frame. So plus icon, insert a frame. Then you're going to go right here. If you don't see frame, plus icon, just type frame. So we're then going to, we don't need this to be too long. Like we don't need this to be, we don't need it to be too tall. We really just need it to be like wide. So we're going to set this to like probably like 80. And then we're just going to set the size to like maybe like try 300. So something maybe honestly more like 340. Yeah, like 340, and then I'm just gonna balance this like in the middle. So something like that, right? Then once you're done with that, you're gonna want to rename this to party size frame. This is gonna have the sizes for for your party and stuff, like whether or not you want to be a solo player, so one person, or if you want to be a duo, so two people, trio, three people, and then etc., right? So then you're gonna set the background transparency for this to 1. And then you're going to insert a UI grid layout. So just type UI grid layout, boom, right? Then the only properties you're going to want to change is you're going to want to set the cell padding to 10 by 5, so 10 comma 5. Then the cell size, I went with 45 by 45. So boom, right? Then from there, you can just go ahead and insert the text button. By the way, the UI grid layout controls sizing and positioning and stuff. So you can mess around with this to get it to have like cell padding is how much space is in between each UI element inside of this frame. Cell size is obviously the size of the UI element. So we're just going to go ahead and insert a text button, right? And then I will also go ahead and insert a UI corner into it, right? So then you're going to want to rename this text button to party size text button. They will all have the same name. What'll separate them is their text itself. So bold text, rich text, scale the text, set the text, and then you're going to set the text to whatever your party size is. So very important. So obviously, there should be a number, right? So don't put, and don't do this. Make sure you just do this. So 1, right? I'm going to set the text color to white, texture transparency to 0, and texture color to black. Then I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to set the background color to a nice, like, kind of lightish gray color. So something like that, right? Then once I'm done, I'm just going to duplicate this. So you can either press duplicate in the top left, or you can hold having it selected, press Control plus D on your keyboard. So bam, bam, bam. I'm just going to do that, right? And then from there, all I'm going to do is just change each one. So this is the second one, so I'm just going to set the text to 2. Go to the third one, change it to 3. Fourth one, 4. And fifth one, 5. It'll use the text to be able to tell, okay, so this player wants to create a party by themselves, or with one other person, two other people, etc., etc. And just like that, we are done with the UI, right? So since we're done with the UI, you can go ahead and set the party frame. So you can close that. Make sure party frame by default should not be visible. Same with the leave text button, right? So then from there, let's go ahead and let's create our remote event, which we'll need. So find replicated storage, plus icon, insert a remote event, rename this remote event to core event, right? And then now, let's go ahead and let's make our teleporter. Okay. So I'm gonna make this similar to how it looks in the game and stuff. Now I do want to clarify something. I'm only gonna make one teleporter, like just to start us off. When I get to a later part, I'm going to make it so that you can have multiple teleporters, because obviously in an actual game you'd want, a minimum of three or maybe more for your game and stuff. So I will cover that stuff, right? Just be patient. We're just gonna cover one thing. And by the way, if you find any bugs, let me know in the comments. I'll fix it. Just let me know in the comments and stuff. So yeah. Now moving on to our teleporter. So for the first thing, I'm just gonna, so my spawn is right there, right? By the way, one recommendation. Your spawn location, like your main spawn, right? What I recommend doing is click your spawn, make sure can collide is disabled. So this should be checked by default. So just, yeah, just find your spawn location and then just disable can collide. This is that we're going to teleport players back to the spawn and stuff for certain events. So just make sure it's disabled, because we don't want players to get stuck in between it. But yeah. So for our first part, I guess we'll make the barriers first. So you're gonna click part at the top, so make sure home is selected at the top. You're gonna click right here, this arrow, block, right? So this is like it's a barrier, but it's not really a barrier. And so this, like it's just for display, pretty much. So we're just going to scale this all the way down. If you don't know how to scale all the way down, click model at the top, adjust this to 0.01 right here, and then yeah. So then you're just going to move this over. We'll do like something like that, right? Then I'm just gonna set the color to a nice yellow, or probably like a lighter shade and stuff, and then set the transparency to like 0.5, right? So something like that. Then we're just gonna scale that over, right? We're gonna create like a little box, essentially. I'm gonna make this a little bit wider, okay, like something, yeah, something like that. So something like that, and then we'll just duplicate this, so we can just simply duplicate. Then I'll move it over, right? So boom, it needs to be wide enough so that we can fit players. Okay, maybe I make this, yeah, maybe actually I'm gonna make them a little bit wider because it needs to have room for players. So yeah, just do that. Right. Then I'm gonna duplicate this again, Control plus D. Then I'm gonna move this over, rotate this 90 degrees, and then I'm gonna move this over, and then now I'm just gonna scale this so that it fits. Okay, so there we go. Bam. It's not going to be perfect for me. Obviously, for you, you perfect it as much as you want, but I don't really care for perfection, because I'm just doing this just to demonstrate for you guys. I'm just a scripter. Okay, then I'm just going to move this over. Bam. Okay, so these are going to be our barriers, so you can just select everything, right? You can just name this to barrier, right? And then you can also group these. I would also suggest grouping them together, but we'll do that in a second. So a few properties. You can go ahead and disable can collide and enable make sure it's anchored, right? And then you can just, while having all of them selected, oh, by the way, I forgot. So to select multiple things, click one and then hold the CTRL, or also known as the control keybind, and then you're gonna left click, select, right? You can do that. And then you're gonna press Control plus G on your keyboard. So Control plus Control again is CTRL, or you can right click and then you can just click Group as a model. Either one works. Then you can just name these. You can name this, so let's do barriers, right? This isn't actually gonna stop players. This is just simply for display, by the way. But yeah. So from there we have our barriers, right? So then what I'm going to go ahead and do is make our teleport part. So this is how we're going to tell if a player is actually, it's going to be our invisible part, so insert another part. It's going to be our invisible part to tell if a player is within the area, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to want to scale. So this is very important, right? I'm not a builder, but this is very important. So to avoid like weird glitches and stuff, you need to make sure this is like precise. You need to make sure it's like kind of like a little out, kind of like a little bit out, because what you don't want players to like walk on like a little inch over and like they're able to get out essentially, and so it thinks they're trying to get out when they shouldn't be allowed to get out. So you want to just make sure it's like a little bit past the barrier, right? So then just go over, and then again make sure it's a little bit past the barrier, scale it over again, make sure it's a little past the barrier. Oh, I think it's, oh yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah, so just like that. Then once you're done, obviously you want to go up. You want it to be pretty tall because like if a player jumps, you don't want them to you don't want it to think they're not included. So yeah, just make it pretty tall and yeah. Once you're done with that, set this to teleport part, right? This definitely very important. Disable can collide, make sure it's anchored, and then set its transparency to 1 because we don't want players to see this, right? So boom. I promise a lot of people have bugs simply just because, not even with scripting issues, probably just because they just set this up incorrectly. So yeah, that's the first thing. We've set up our barriers and our teleport part. Now what we need to do is we need to set up our player count part, right? So this is pretty much going to be the UI where it's like it has 0 of 5 and whatnot. So you're going to insert another part. You're going to want to, hold on. You're going to want to, let me grab this real quick. So it may be a little difficult because it's going to snap like that. So you may just have to like go around like that, or you can just use the move tool, right? So the point is you want this to be in the middle. You want this to be like a little, like a little block kind of like in the middle of it, right? And then you're going to want to rename this to player count part, right? And then you're going to want to set its transparency to 1, right? And then what you're going to want to do is, of course, anchor it, disable can collide. And then inside of it, you can ignore the weld. You don't have to insert that. I don't know why it does that automatically. You're going to want to insert a billboard GUI. So boom. Make sure you set these properties to exactly the same thing I'm doing, okay? Because this can get very glitchy if you don't do it properly. So set the adornee to the player count part, right? And then you want to scroll down. Disable reset on spawn, right? And then you want to scroll down to size. So size, very important. You're just gonna do 10 by 6. Oh, wait, actually, no, sorry, that's wrong. Because, yeah, it's the wrong thing. Okay. So for X, so literally just click the arrow right here, open up size, right? For X, do 10, comma 0. For Y, do 6, comma 0. We want to use, I think that's, yeah, scale, not offset. Then for the size offset, you want to just do 0, comma 1, right? And then that's it with that. Then you want to rename this GUI to player count GUI, right? Then you can insert a text label into it. Boom, text label. As you can see, we now have our text label. So for our first one, you can do countdown text label. This is going to be the countdown. So it'll say 20, 19, 18, 17 until like, it's, y'all are ready to go kind of thing. So, you can set background transparency for this to 1. Position should be 0 comma 0 0.7. I think you could, yeah. So just do 0 comma 0 0.07. Then for size, you can do 1 comma 0 comma 0 0.3 comma 0. Just be on the safe side. Yep, there we go. And then that should be good for size for our countdown text label. And then you just want to go bold, rich text, scale the text. Then I think for this, I think it was just like white. I think it's just like white, and then texture transparency would be set to 0. Texture color would be black, and then yeah, I think that should be good. And then obviously by default, you do not want any text, right? So we want it to look empty. Then you can just go ahead and duplicate this. So we'll having it selected, duplicate it, rename it to player count text label. Now this is going to be keep track of how many players you currently have. So for this, only thing you got to change for this is just change the what's it called? Oh, change the position. The size remains the same. So just change this. So from 0.7, just change this to 0.4. So it'll be a little bit above it. For player count, you want the text color to be yellow, like a kind of goldish color, right? And then for text by default, this should say 0 out of whatever your default max is. Now in the actual game, it's out of 5 players, so I'm gonna put 0 out of 5 and stuff, which I recommend y'all just do as well, right? So by default, we'll just say 0 out of 5. And as you can see, it's consistent, right? 0 out of 5 looks good. Okay, so from there, we're pretty much done with that part, right? So we finished the player count part and everything, the teleport part, barriers. So we have a few more things. So we have some values, right? So I guess what I'll just do is I'll just do this. Okay, so you want to select everything. So you could just really just do this. Or you could just select one, then remember hold the control key bind and then just select the other things, right? To select multiple things, just hold the CTRL keybind, CTRL, and then just press Control plus G. So we're gonna group these together. You're gonna want to rename this to teleporter, right? You want everything grouped inside of the teleporter model, right? We have everything inside. So inside the teleporter, we're going to want to insert some values. First up, we're gonna insert a bool value, right? This is a true or false value. Rename this to countdown started. So this pretty self-explanatory, but when the countdown has started, this will be set to true, right? So that's how we'll know, like, okay, if a player comes into the teleport, like they walk into the teleport, that means they're trying to join. They're trying to like join to get ready to be teleported and stuff. If it's set to false, then that means it hasn't. Nobody started up a server yet, and that means okay, we need to give them the like make it so that the party frame is visible so that they can set up their server however way they want it. Then insert a number value, right? Rename it to player count. This keeps track of how many current players are inside, right? So by default, obviously will be set to 0, right? It's going to be a number value, and then you can just duplicate this while having it selected, and then just rename this to max player count, right? And then obviously set this to whatever your max is. By default, it'll be set to 5. When a player comes in to change, to like set the settings and stuff like that, obviously when if they select like 2, this value will be changed to 2. But yeah, by default, we'll just set this to 5. So we have all our values. Now the last thing we just need, which is this is very important, we need walls, right? When a player is selecting the settings and stuff, we don't want them to be able to leave and stuff. Same thing goes for players who've joined and stuff, right? The only way you should be able to leave is if you press the close button in the top right, or if you press leave, right? So we need invisible walls to prevent players from pretty much entering and stuff, and also leaving. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and um insert part, right? And this is just going to be a wall. So you want this, so the way you want this to be, right? You want this, it's going to be kind of weird because like we're going to have like kind of parts inside of parts kind of thing. But for this, you want this to be, I'm trying to think actually. I don't have this. Yeah, you want this to be on the outside. Okay, yeah. So you want this to be kind of like right here. So like kind of like intersecting. Right? Yeah, 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 like that. Cause yeah, kind of like that. You don't, yeah, you want it to be like kind of inside. You don't want the player to be able to like walk out and then it glitches to where like it thinks they're able to leave when they shouldn't be able to leave, kind of thing, right? So you just want to cover the entire part, right? And then you're just gonna want to go up. That might be a little too far, right? You can just do it like that because you don't want players to be able to get too close, right? So then this is one of our walls. And then you can just go ahead and just anchor this, set this to camp, and then by default set this to set can collide to false by default. Um, and then yeah, and then you can just rename this to wall, and then you can just duplicate this, move this over to the other side again, make sure it's inside a bit, right? And then you got to watch these corners right here, and that's why I said to make sure to scale it all the way. And then Control plus D, duplicate it, and then we'll just rotate this again 90 degrees, and then we'll just move this over. And obviously we need to scale it out. Okay. So move it over. Just make sure it's touching the other part a little bit so that they have not left yet. Or actually, no, sorry, it needs to be a little bit inward. Yeah, it needs to be a little inward. Okay. And then just scale it over so that it just, fits. You want to make sure it goes through so that like it gets the corner so that like people can't like, yeah, so that people can't get in like through like hugging the corners or something like that. Then duplicate it, move it over, and then yep, just like that. That way people can't get in, nor can people get out. And then probably, I'll say probably just scale them out a little bit more and stuff. Again, it's like when I was testing it, you really got to make sure this is like, they're all a certain kind of way so that, people can't like do glitches and stuff like that. Okay, so, okay. Once we have all our walls, select all of them, hold the CTRL keybind, control, select all of them, Control plus G, or right click and then group, and then you can just name this to walls. Very important that you name this to walls, right? And then just drag it inside of your teleporter. And then just like that, I believe that's everything. We have our barriers, walls. Yep. So then by default, you want to just right click the walls and just click hierarchy and then select children and then set the transparency of this to 1. Make sure they're all anchored. Make sure can collide set to false. Okay. So there we go. and then our teleporter should be good. Now we can get to the actual scripting portion. So first things first, we're gonna head on over. Let me just double check to make sure we're good. Okay, we're good. So head on over to starter play. So open up starter player, right? Open that up. Then you'll see starter player scripts, plus icon, local script. Rename the script to core script in parentheses, put local, right? Delete print hello world. You're then gonna create three variables. First, for our first variable, it's going to be core event for our remote event. So core event is equal to game, the replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Then create a variable for our local player. So player is equal to game.players.local player. Then create a variable for the core GUI, which is, what we created inside of starter GUI. So core GUI is equal to player.player GUI. Keep in mind that is lowercase u, lowercase I. For some reason, people mess that up. I don't know how, considering it autofills. But then you're going to do wait for child, core GUI, right? So for the first function, you're going to set up the on client event function. So you're going to say core event dot on client event connect function in parentheses put event type comma arg1, which is short for argument number one. So event type is just whatever the specific event is. Arg1 is short for argument one, which is just a piece of information that was sent over from the server to the client. So press enter, then you'll use an if statement. So if event type is equal to, you're going to say party, right? Enter. So that means it's a party event. Then we need to specify what kind of party event it is, right? So party event is equal to arg. Now, when I say party, just to clear up confusion, I don't mean an actual party. I'm referring to the party, like you're creating a party with the UI and stuff, right? So something involving that. So we're gonna say if party event is equal to enable menus. So this is for like UI enter. This means the player is customizing a server, which means we need to make the party frame visible. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go ahead and reset all of the text buttons colors, because like when a player selects one of the text buttons, we're gonna make it so that it's yellow when it's selected, right? So we need to reset all the colors and stuff. So we're gonna say for I comma v in I pairs. You're going to say core GUI dot party frame, my bad, party frame dot party size frame, and then you're gonna say get children enter. Make sure you do if v is a text button. We want to ignore the UI grid layout. Press enter. Then you'll say v dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new. Very important. Make sure you do the same color as me. So color 3 dot new, and then we're just gonna set it back to its default gray. So we'll just go here. We'll just get whatever that is. So I'll click this right here. You'll just want to copy and paste the hex. So Control C, go right here, click this, Control V, and then bam. So returns it to its normal gray color, right? Then we'll skip these. We'll skip two ends, right? And then once we're done, we can say core GUI dot party frame dot visible is equal to true, right? Then after that, we'll set up for the next one. So we'll say else if party event is equal to disable menu, which just means press enter, which just simply just means that the menu was supposed to be disabled and stuff for whatever reason and stuff like that. But I know I definitely would need this stuff. So you just say core GUI dot party frame dot visible is set to false, right? Then set up the next party event. You'll say else if party event is equal to enable leave. This means you're just enabling the leave text button. That was the first UI element we created when we started the video. So press enter, and then we'll just say core GUI.leave text button dot visible is equal to true. And then you can really just copy and paste this. So select this part right here, copy or Control plus C, and then just go right here, Control plus V, just paste it. Then for this, obviously it's the vice versa. So disable leave, and then just set this to false, right? Then you can go after all of this. Now we'll set up our next function. We'll say core GUI dot party frame dot close text button dot activated connect function close parentheses, press enter. So when they press close, what this means is they were customizing a server, they press close, they don't want to customize it anymore, which means we have to take them out of the teleporter. So this is why I said it's important to make sure that your spawn locations can collide is disabled, set to false, because we're going to be teleporting players back to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the player's character by simply creating a variable for it. So character is equal to player.character. Then you'll just simply say character pivot to, and you will say workspace.spawnLocation.cFrame. So whatever your spawn is and stuff. If you don't, you should have a spawn by default. But if you don't, you can just click model at the top and then just click spawn right here, which will create a spawn for you, right? So boom, we're done with that function. Moving on, we're then going to set up a for I loop for when you're changing. This is so that for when you're changing party sizes. So you will say for I comma v in I pairs, and then you will say core GUI, oh my bad, core GUI dot party frame dot party size frame get children enter. Then you will say if v is a text button enter. Then you will say v dot activated connect function close parentheses enter, right? Then from there, we'll just do the same thing. So we're just going to simply reset the colors, right? So if you're confused at what's going on, this is pretty much, let me show you guys, probably make more sense if I show you. Okay. So whenever a player clicks one of these buttons, we want that button, the clicked button, to the background color to change to like a goldish yellow color, while everything else is gray. So we're gonna reset all of them to gray and then make it so that the one they selected was yellow or gold. So all we can do is scroll up here, or what we can do, you see we have enable menu right here. Just copy this, copy, paste, boom, paste. That simple, right? Then just press enter, put some space in between it. That's simple. So to reset the color, and then all we gotta do now is just say v dot background color 3. Make sure everything is like capitalization does matter. Is equal to color 3 dot new, and then just say 1 comma 1 comma 0. So for that nice gold. If you're confused at what v is the instance of the party size. So it's these text buttons, right? Then we've set that up. Then on to the next one. Second to last function, we're gonna say core GUI dot party frame dot create text button. So self-explanatory, but again, this is for when you're creating the party. So you finalize everything. So that activated connect function close parentheses. Enter, you would then say for I comma v and I pairs and stuff, right? You'll simply just say same thing, core GUI dot party frame dot party size frame get children enter. So if v is a text button, but also and v dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new, whatever kind of goldish yellow color you did. So 1 comma 1 comma 0 enter, right? So whichever one that is, that's how we'll know, like, okay, this is what the player currently has selected for their party size, right? So then we'll say max count is equal to, then we're going to use to number, and then you're going to say v dot text, right? So because as this implies, this is text, which means this is a string. We need to convert this to an actual number, because inside of the teleporter, our max player count is a number value, so we need this to be a number. So we're just using to number to convert it to a number, right? So once we've confirmed that that's the selected one, we're then going to fire the remote event. We're going to say core events fire server in quotation marks. You're going to put party, name the event, comma, and then we are creating a party, comma, and then you're going to set up the max count. So max count. Then lastly, you're just going to say core GUI dot party frame dot visible is set to false. Then for our last function, you're just gonna set up the leave button function. So once a player has set up a party thing like that and stuff, and once it's like counting down 20, 19, 18, whatever, you have the option to leave. So we'll say core GUI dot, or I keep doing the wrong thing. Core GUI dot leave text button dot activated connect function close parentheses press enter. It would just simply say core GUI dot leave text button dot visible set to false. Then we can save ourselves some time because we need to do the same thing. So just go up here, copy, go after this, select, press enter, or just click, press enter, paste, boom. Then you're just going to teleport the character. And just like that, we are done with the local script. We can now move on to the server script. Okay. By default, this frame should be set to, visibility should be set to false. I just wanted to show you guys for demonstration purposes. Okay. Now we'll move on to the server script. Find server script service, plus icon, insert a server script. Rename this server script to core script, in parentheses, put server, right? Delete print hello world. We're going to create a couple variables first. Create a variable for the teleport service, because obviously this is how we're going to teleport players between different servers. TPS is equal to game get service, the teleport service. Then create a variable for our core, so for our remote event, just like we did on the client side. So core event is equal to game, the replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Then create a variable for our teleporter, which is, our model inside of the workspace. So teleporter, again, I will cover multiple teleporters in a later part. Be patient, we're just going to have one for now. Is equal to workspace, wait for child, teleporter. Then lastly, we're going to set up a teleport list. So teleport list is equal to, and we're going to create a table. So boom, special. So that's special brackets right there, right? We're gonna insert players' names into this. Is how we're gonna keep track of. Okay, this is who needs to be teleported and stuff over to the map. So we're gonna set up the first function. So we're gonna say teleporter. Remember our teleporter part. So teleporter part dot touch whenever something touches it. Connect function in parentheses. Put hit enter. You're then first gonna check to make sure it is a either an NPC or a player. So if hit dot parent find first child humanoid part, right? Or I mean, humanoid should actually just work just fine. And one other thing, and not table dot find. I wouldn't understand why you'd have NPCs in a game like this, so we just do that. So then you're gonna say teleport list, comma hit dot parent dot name. So one, make sure that it is a player. Two, make sure that you don't find their name inside the teleport list. Because let's say their name is already in the teleport list, we don't want to have duplicates of their name. That's just taking up space for no reason and stuff, right? So we're just going to make sure it's not in there and then hit that parent name that's the character, right? So press enter, and you're going to create a variable for their character, which should be equal to hit.parent. Because keep in mind, what makes contact with the part isn't the character itself, it's the character's body parts. Their arms, their hands, their legs, stuff like that. So then we're going to add their name to the table. So table.insert teleport list, comma, and then you're going to say character.name. So their name has now been added to that. Then you're going to pivot them. You're going to make it so that once they make contact with the outside part, with the with the invisible part, I should say, it's then going to move them into the middle, right? So you can say character pivot to, my bad, pivot to, right? And then I'm just gonna say teleporter dot player count part dot cframe, right? Then after this, you're going to set the player count. You're going to increase the player count. So teleporter dot player count dot value is plus equal 1. So you're going to increase it by 1. And then you create a variable for said player. So player will be equal to game dot players find first child character dot name. Then we'll set up a couple of if statements. So first things first, we'll say if teleporter dot player count dot value is equal to 1 enter. What this means is that is the only player there, which means that a what's it called, which means that the countdown has not begun, which means this player should be able to customize everything, right? We just need to double check to ensure that's correct. Now if that's the case, we don't want any players to make contact to be able to enter the space until he, like, the player has either closed out of it and has canceled trying to set up a server, or has set up a server and now just waiting to teleport over and stuff, right? So then we're going to say for I comma v in I pairs, and then you're just going to say teleporter dot walls, right? Remember those invisible walls we made? Get children, enter. Then we're going to say v dot can collide should be set to false, right? Then just go after the end, and then you will fire the remote event. So core event fire client singular the specific player, comma in quotation marks. You're going to put party, comma in quotation marks enable menu so that they can customize the server to whichever way they want. Then you go after that, press else, right? So this is for that. This means that um, this case is pretty much for that. A player is trying to join someone that's already, like, set up a server and everything. They're just waiting to teleport over. So we want to enable the leave button so that they have the option to leave if they want to leave. So core events, fire clients, and then you're gonna put player, right? And then you're just gonna say comma, my bad, comma, quotation marks, party, comma, quotation marks, enable leave. So enable the leave button. Then after that end, one last thing, you're gonna say if teleporter dot player counts dot value is equal to teleporter dot max player count dot value, enter. This is to prevent more players than the maximum player count from entering and stuff, right? If the max is 5, when you reach that 5, you want to set the walls can collide to true so that other players can't, enter. So literally just grab this. We're just gonna copy and paste this a million times. So just copy this, paste that, and then just set that to true so no one else can walk in, right? So just set that to true and stuff, right? And then, oh, my bad. This actually was supposed to be set to true. My bad. That's supposed to be set to true. Both of them should be set to true. And then we're done with that first function. Now we can move on to the touch ended, which pretty much just means when a player has left. So, and this could be for any reason. They reset whatever. So then you're gonna say teleporter dot teleport part dot touch ended connect function in parentheses put hit just like we did before, enter, and then literally the same thing except it's a little different. So you'll say if hit dot parent find first child humanoid, and this time you want to ensure that their name is inside. Because if their name is inside the table, that means they're considered a part of that teleporter squad or whatever. So or the party. So we want to remove them. So and table.find, you can table.find teleport list, comma hit dot parent dot name. Enter. Then once again create a variable for the player's character, hit dot parent. Then we will remove their name from the table. So table.remove teleport list, comma, we need to find their name, so table.find. And then you will just simply say teleport list is a table.find teleport list character.name. So then that'll remove their name from the table. Then you'll do teleporter.player_count.value less than or equal to 1, right? Then create a variable for the player just like we did the first time. So game.players find first child character.name, right? Then after that, you're going to do the same thing with the checks. You're going to say, let's say if teleporter dot player count dot value is equal to 0, which means okay, nobody's there, which means we need to reset it so that the next player who comes, they're able to customize the server whichever way they want. Press enter, and then by default we'll make it so that the walls can't collide, set to false. So you can just copy this, paste this, set this to false, right? So that way, yeah, that way it'll just be simple so that the next player can just come in and customize everything as they want. Then we'll set up an else if. We'll say else if teleporter. So we'll say else if teleporter dot player count dot value is greater than 0, right? So if the current count is greater than 0, and the teleporter dot player count dot value is also less than the teleporter player count dot max. Oh my bad, wrong thing, wrong thing. Max player count dot value. Enter. You just want to do the same thing. So just select this Control C, and then Control V. So pretty much what this means is that let's say that there are multiple, there's still more, there's still at least a single player inside of the teleporter and stuff. And then let's just say like a space opened up. Like let's say there were 5 players, but then one leaves, right? This is to ensure that, oh, okay, so it's less than the max amount of players. Like there's clearly still more players, more than 0, so there's still a player, at least a player inside, but they're not at the maximum. So we want to make sure that other players can still, enter it and everything. Then after that, now just some small mini functions on the side. So after that, whenever the player count value changes as well as max player count, we want to update this so that it reflects it. So say 1 out of 5, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, you know. So we're then going to say teleporter dot player count dot changed connect function close parentheses enter. You'll then say teleporter dot player count part dot player count GUI dot player count text label dot text is equal to teleporter dot player count dot value dot 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 quotation marks slash dot dot dot, and then you'll say teleporter dot max player count dot value, and then also you need to set up the same thing for the max. So you can really just copy and paste this over some time because the code is pretty much the same. So select it, copy, skip a line, paste, change this to max player count, right? And then obviously for the player count, it actually remains literally the same thing. You just have to change that one thing. So then after those two functions, you're then going to set up the leader stats. So we're going to say game.players.player added connect function in parentheses put PLR register for the player who joined the game. Press enter. So the leader stats is just simply the stats that appear in the top right of the screen. The only stat that I know of is just max days. So I'm guessing that's just the maximum amount of days you survived. So we're going to create a folder for our leader stats. So it's equal to instance.new folder. Leader stats name is equal to leader stats. Then leader stats parent is parented to the player. Then we'll create our max days value, which should be a number value. So we'll say max days is equal to instance.new number value. Max days name is equal to max. Then this should be with a space. Then we'll say max days dot value by default should be 0, and then max days dot parent is to the leader stats folder. Then we are done setting up our leader stats. Now on to setting up our our on server event stuff. So we'll say core event at on server event connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player, comma event type. So the specific event arg1 and arg2. Remember that's just short for argument 1 and argument 2. So just pieces of information sent from the client to the server side. Then press enter in between those parentheses. Then we're just simply going to set up an if statement. We're going to say if event type is equal to party, enter. Then of course we have this just like we did on the client side. Party event, the specific party event, arg1, say if party event is equal to create, so the player's ready to create a party, press enter. Then we will get the max count, so max count is equal to arg2, right? Then we will say teleporter dot max player count dot value is set to max count. Then we will say teleporter dot countdown started dot value is set to true. And then we can just, go up here, copy this, paste it right here, right? We want to make it so that players are able to now enter it. So after join, then you're going to set up your countdown. So you're going to say for I is equal to, and then, so there are three things. You have your starting, your ending, and the change, right? Might sound a little confusing. It's just three numbers. So I'm gonna do 20 seconds. You guys can do 30 seconds if you want. 40, it's up to you guys. I'm gonna put 20. This is what you start at, right? The first number you put is your starting point. Since I put 20, it's gonna start at 20. And put a comma. Then the next number you put is your end point, so 0. What that means is it's gonna start at 20 and then it's gonna stop at 0, comma. Then the third thing, this is the change, right? So I'm going to put -1 because we're counting down. I'm going 20, 19, 18, 17 until it gets to 0. If I wanted to count up, then obviously I would flip these. I would have this set to 0, have this set to 20, and then this would just be +1 if I wanted it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 20. But yeah, so we're counting down. Then press enter, right? Then from there you're going to update the text. You're going to say teleporter dot player count part dot player count GUI dot countdown text label dot text is equal to I dot 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 quotation marks S. So I put a apostrophe. And then after that we're gonna use an if statement. We're gonna say if teleporter dot player count dot value is equal to 0. So let's say all the players like left, right? Press enter. Then we'll simply just break out of it. We'll just say teleporter. We'll just reset it. Dot player count part dot player count GUI dot countdown text label dot text is equal to an empty string, right? Then we'll say teleporter dot countdown started dot value is set to false, and then afterward you will just simply break out of it, and then you're going to skip this if statement, go on to another one. You're going to say if I is equal to 0, which means we've made it to the end, press enter, then you're going to teleport all those players over. So then you're going to say, you can just really copy, was it the count? Yeah, it was the countdown. So you can just really copy and paste this. So select it, Control plus C, then just Control plus V down here to paste it. And then you're just going to change the text. Set the text to teleporting, so that the players know they're being teleported, right? Then after that, we're going to get all the players. We're going to say for I comma v in I pairs. You're just going to say game dot players get players enter, right? Then you're going to say if table dot find. So the teleport list, comma v dot names. If it finds their name inside the table, that means that they need to be teleported. Press enter, then you're going to say TPS. Very important. Make sure you just do a regular teleport, right? Then you're going to put your place ID here. Now, first things first, right? This is our lobby. This is our lobby place. Let me just make sure. Okay, we're good. Dang, I did not realize this was going to take like an hour. I'm not going to lie. I did not know this was going to take an hour. But anyway, so, right? So if you don't know how to create another place, right? Like a place within a place, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go up here, click game settings. You're gonna click places, right? And you're gonna click the gigantic, or well, I mean small, but you're gonna click the create button. As you can see, I've already created a map. So click create, give it a name. Instead, well, it'll automatically have a name, but you can just click right here, configure place, and then you could just give it a name, right? That simple. And then you can just give it a name. So once you're done with that, you've now made your second place. This is where we currently are. That is our map. Then you're going to click view at the top. Click this icon right here. This is our asset manager. Go into places. Find your specific place. Obviously, do not select the place you're currently at. We are currently in Forest Lobby. If you left click on the map, it'll open the place for you. So you're able to. This is how you'll open other places within the same experience. so that you can edit things and stuff. We're not doing that in this video. All we're doing, we just need the ID. So right click map, copy ID to clipboard. Remember, I just named mine a map. You don't have to do that. So right click and then just copy ID to clipboard. That's the place ID. Go back over, paste it, Control plus V, right? Then comma, and then V, which is the instance of the player. So you're teleporting the player over to that specific place, right? Boom. We'll skip those two ends. And then last thing, we're just gonna reset the text. So just this part right here. So Control C, Control V, and then this. Actually, yeah, you could have just copy and pasted this whole thing. Control C, Control V. After all the players are teleported, we're gonna reset the text. Countdown started. That value will be equal to false. Um, and then we will make it so that players can re-enter. So we will set can collide. Or actually, no, I think it actually will do that by its because yeah, because once they all leave, and then once equal to yeah, actually no, it should do that by itself actually because it should recognize once they leave. It's not touch yeah, it should actually recognize that. And then the last thing, you're just gonna want to skip this end. Very important. Make sure you do test that wait 1 second, or else it'll just do this instantaneously. So you want to have that 1 second delay. Okay, sorry this video was so long, guys. Let's go ahead and test and make sure everything works. If you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, just read the description on how to get access to this or any of the other ones. So as you can see, we have our max days leader stat. So by the way, you cannot teleport in studio. To test this, you have to go into an actual server to see if teleporting works. So here's what we can do. So as you can see, I went in, automatically put me in, and it detected that I'm one player. And as you can see, I clearly cannot leave. I cannot leave, which also means other players cannot enter. Oh, see, it's a little corner right there. See, it's a little corner right there. Yeah, see, so that's why I say it's very important that you make sure you do your walls right, because in all honesty, that shouldn't happen. What that means is the walls aren't, yeah, they're not in it. So what that means is they're not in enough, right? I mean, it shouldn't really be a problem, but to just avoid issues, what you want to do is you want to make sure the walls are pushed in enough, right? So that the player can't even walk. They can't even get close to like the exits. So like that. Okay. Then we'll press play. So just adjust them as need be. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Whole thing is you don't even want them to be able to. Yep, there you go. So I'm stuck in here. Right, I can select, as you can see, I can select them right. If I click the close button, it'll automatically tell. Um, why didn't it? Wait, I'm confused. Wait, that's weird. It should have. It should have closed it for me. Unless I forgot. Did I forget to do it? I might have forgotten to do that. No, no, or it should have fired the event. Um, well, it looks like I forgot to do something. Okay. So let's press stop. Let's go back here. I forgot to do one more thing. My bad. So just copy and paste this part right here. Control C. Go up here. Right. And then just go out to this. Control plus V. And then just change leave text button to party frame. Right. I mean, I did it differently when I did it before, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah. So we're going here. So I can leave. Boom. And then I can come back. Right. That works just fine. So let's say I want to create a party with just two people. Press create. Boom. It'll then count down and stuff. If I oh, and then as you guys can see right here, right? Right. Yeah, where are the walls? The walls can collide is set to false at this point in time because I don't have two players, right? So just wait. Then it'll give me this error. If you get this error, that's good. That means it attempted to teleport the players and stuff, right? So yeah. Then, oh, I should also probably reset the, yeah, nothing about, yeah. Let me also do that. One other thing. We should also reset the stuff. So let's go right here. Say teleporter dot player count parts dot player count. Again, if you guys find any bugs, please let me know in the comments. I will fix them and stuff. We'll just say player count text label dot text should be set to the default. Uh, say player, or actually wait. There actually shouldn't be any. Yeah, actually, no, I can just manually change that actually. I'll just say player count. Reset the player count. Because this means it's. Yeah, because it'll be easier. So just reset it. So just copy that, go down here, paste that, and then also paste that again, and then we'll just do max player count. Yeah. And then we'll just okay. So paste that, Control plus V, and then we'll just set max player count, and then just set this to 5. Again, whatever your default is. 5. Okay. Then just for testing purposes, I will set up a testing with 3 people, with 3 testing. So you can just click test at the top and then just test that way. Again, if you want access to any one of my scripts or models, just read the description on how to gain access to those. I'm so sorry this video was an hour. I did not know this video was gonna take an hour, and that's exactly why I just wanted to do the lobby in one video. Okay, so if I go over as player 1, right, and then if I switch over to player 2, I should not be able, as you can see, I am not able to go in because player 1 is currently doing the thing. So then let's say I just want 2 players, right? So I'm gonna create a party for 2 people. I'm going to bring player 2 with me, right? Player 2 has the option to leave. Player 3, however, cannot join because it's full. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like and subscribe. This is a new series I'm starting. I will continue the series, keep the series going, as long as you guys continue to show the series love and support. That's all that matters. As long as you show love and support, then it's cool. So if you're new, definitely subscribe. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Just keep showing up the series love and support, and I got y'all with more and more content. So thank you for watching. Let me know any suggestions or bug fixes or anything like that in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.